Hi, Dyslexic Genius here. I'm back on the Ambro A1 and the gear train and a few things we're going to talk about. First of all, in a previous video, I talked about the center arbor between the two spring barrels and how the spring barrel shaft was wiggling loose. So what I've done is I've come in and step drilled the hole out to almost a half an inch. Then I reamed it at a half an inch. And then I built the bronze bearings out of this stuff. This is called oilite bronze. It has these funny little dark areas in it like that. That's what this stuff is. It's a bearing material. And they use those in old South Bend lathes, but they were big giant bronze bearings. And then I've chamfered this so when you put it together, it just slides through like that. So what's going to happen is when you take these apart, you can, my angel, you can see that little line right there in the camera. That's where this piece rides. So we have a wear mark here and a wear mark here because this thing's doing this thing inside, in between the two spring barrels, and it's dragging down on the motor. So Victor did this. I discussed that in the other video. So you put this in here and it'll just turn just like that, very smoothly. I flex toned it out to get it. It'll wear in and it'll just be smooth as silk. The other thing is you want to polish out all these shafts to the gear train. You don't want to clean this off a little and end up with this icky gooey mess. You want a gear when you assemble to look like that. And on A1s, these are all nickel plated. You can see my fingernail in this, my finger. These are all nickel plated on the outside. So you want to clean these all up very nicely. And then I spend a lot of time re-bluing all the screws so that looks nice like that. On the governor drive gear, you can see in here where this mark is and stuff. These were cast. Then they were punched out, then they were machined. But the hard part with these to clean is, I've cleaned this all off with lacquer thinner, cleaned this, flex toned in here so it'll slide on easier. But when you get in here, this all fills up with cruddy oil residue, and it's a real bummer to clean. I mean, it takes a long time. So what I take, because this is brass, and I have this little brush I bought at Harbor Freight, you can just come in here like this. And it'll just clean all the goop out after you soaked it in lacquer thinner. I did the same thing with the pulley. Those are nickel plated. You can see the reflection in here. I've cleaned all this out and polished it. And then these gears here, the same way, flex toned. And then on these, what I did for the customer was, usually they would just take the lathe and just go whap, whap out with a cutter bit. So you have the carriage that goes, and they leave these little straw-added lines because they didn't care about detail on a motor. And then I cleaned those up and re-blued all the screws. So now when it goes together on the machine, and these are chamfered. You see this? Remember I talked about the chamfering to put them onto a machine?
Chamfering means it's kind of carved out?
It's kind of carved out like this. This has a chamfer in it too. So when you slide this through, it goes through easily. That's when you put this, you have two spring barrels and everything's together and you got to come in here like this and you go, oh man, it won't go through. That's why they chamfered those. I talked about that on the spring barrels. So now, you know, the chamfering comes in and it'll just slide anywhere you want like this. You don't want to have to put the gear train together and go, oh man, that's hard to push. See, you just want to come in here. And then we have a little bit of adjustment with these flats. So when you'll come in and you'll just, let's see if I can hit it. Whoopsie. You'll bottom the screw out like that, give it a little kick out, and watch. It has this adjustment feature so you can line up. So if the gear is running over here, you can move this over so it'll run dead center in the gear. Just little tricks they had on these. And this is what it takes. You know, I have to come in now and clean all this up, polish all this out. This is part of the 2 4-minute changer system. You can see how they're running it with crappy grease all over the place. And we'll fix all this and it'll be fun. And that's my tip for the day.